Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right. We're ranking Iron Man. Iron Man is a 2008 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Iron Man. It is the first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In the film, billionaire genius Tony Stark builds a high-tech armored suit to escape captivity and later uses it to become the heroic Iron Man fighting threats to the world. After watching the most recent Captain America, I had a long 30-minute video ranting about how terrible it is. Honestly, most of the Marvel films that I've seen lately that have come out in the last 5 years or more, I have not liked, and I really have fell out of being a fan of Marvel in any sort of way. And after that video, I honestly was questioning whether I was just a Marvel hater or these movies were honestly just bad. And after watching this movie, I'm not just a hater. They're bad. They definitely set a standard here that made Marvel popular for a reason. Let's get into why with the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? The plot of this movie is exactly why Marvel was successful in the beginning and exactly why they haven't been successful lately. It's a very serious plot. A lot of the movies, I went over this a little bit in Spider-Man No Way Home, but there's a lot of recent Marvel movies that it is very much more a comedy than a serious movie, and it's just about the characters cracking jokes. This movie has both. But the heart of this movie is about a character development that is very serious. All the problems that are in this movie, they actually have a weight behind the consequences of if things go wrong, and they feel very real. And even though there's some comic book reasoning to how extravagant some of these characters are and the problems can be, they still feel very grounded and real, and it makes for a very entertaining story. But what carries this story the most is the character arc of Tony Stark. He actually goes from a significant character change from the beginning of this movie to the end of this movie, and it's incredibly entertaining to watch. It's got some very emotional sides to it. The plot of this movie is just really good. It's what's missing out of newer Marvel movies. I would say the only gripe I had about the story is that the villain of this movie is honestly not that good of a villain. But luckily in this movie, honestly, the villain didn't have to be that good. Just the character arc of Tony Stark and watching him become Iron Man is more than good enough to keep you entertained. It has some awesome cinematic moments. You really almost don't even really need the villain in this movie, but he's just there because you gotta have him for a superhero movie. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? There is a reason that Marvel became as popular as it is. Part of that is the comic books, but part of it is that they started off with some really, really good movies. This movie is if you just like watching good movies, you gotta watch this movie. I think that what made it so successful is that it appeals to a broad audience because it's just an entertaining story that is filmed really well. So I think pretty much anybody can have some fun out of this movie. Third is theme. What message or truth is the movie trying to convey? The message that is present in this movie, the one that follows the character arc of Tony Stark into Iron Man, is a theme about accountability, about owning up to your actions, understanding that your actions do have real world consequences, whether you want to pay attention to them or not. The whole point of him becoming Iron Man is understanding that he has been selfish, that he has justified his actions to himself, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it affects other people. It's a really good message. It's extremely convincing in this movie as a reason to become Iron Man, and it's fun to watch how that theme of accountability changes his character throughout the entire movie. Fourth is dialogue. Is there real feel to the conversation? I think the dialogue in this movie is really well done. Now, most of this movie, you are following Tony Stark's character, and he is one of the most entertaining characters in all of cinema. So you have no problem listening to this dude talk the entire movie. Even when he is somebody that you don't exactly root for because you think he's not a good person, you still want to hear him talk more. It's a defining feature of his character that he's extremely charismatic, and they bring that out really well in this movie. It's one of the reasons that honestly you didn't need a villain that much, because just watching the character arc of him becoming Iron Man through all the conversations he has, through the experience he goes through, it is more than entertaining. I also love the dialogue he has with Pepper. It feels very convincing. This relationship that they build throughout this movie is really well done. You can really sense things even when there isn't dialogue going on. Their interactions with each other are just, they feel very natural, they feel very real. The characters of this movie were extremely convincing. The dialogue is definitely one of the stronger parts of this movie. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? Now we'll talk about the big one, being Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. It's perfect. It was a perfect choice. This is one of those rare times that I honestly think that there was nobody that could play that role any better. I think there's people that could have played the role well, but he was born for that role. There are rare cases throughout all of cinema history where people just believe that character choice in that time was absolutely perfect. I think this is one of those instances. He killed it. You cannot picture anybody else as Tony Stark. He is the image of Tony Stark, and he plays it exactly the way you want it to be played. He's an extremely likable character because of the way that he plays it. He just did a perfect job. I don't think anyone would disagree that there is nobody that should have played Iron Man except Robert Downey Jr. I will talk a little bit about Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, and I really like her in this movie. I just think that she has a really good chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. in their scenes. She does a good job of matching his dialogue, being clever. Her character is well written, but the way that she acts, I think it just worked well together. It definitely is a motivator in this movie because it's just another thing that you care about as far as relationships go for him. And if she didn't act it that well, if you didn't really believe the chemistry between those two, it definitely would bog this movie down. So I want to give her credit for the fact that I think she did a good job of matching his energy. 6 is cinematography. Is there creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe to convey emotion? Now, cinematography in a superhero movie is extremely important. You have got to be convinced that the character you are watching on the screen is worthy of the hero title. They have to be cool. They have to be strong enough. The action has to be good enough that you're convinced that this person is a actual hero. And I thought it was really well done in this movie. The action is extremely satisfying in this movie. The only thing I didn't love, and it's kind of just a product of the time, is the explosions have a real fireworks quality to them. I don't think it looks very good. I don't think it looks very convincing, but all the other action is more than enough to make up for something like that I don't love. It's very satisfying to watch him be Iron Man. I think Iron Man as a concept isn't that cool. I think there's a lot of cooler superheroes, but the way that they show him in action in this movie makes him really cool and really fun to watch. The tank scene is so iconic, and it's cheesy badass, but it's still so fun to watch. It's so cool to watch. He fires on that tank, turns around, and it explodes while he's walking away. I mean, it's awesome. It's so cool to watch. It'd be awesome if I was 6 years old. It's awesome when I'm 23 years old. I love watching it. It's just really well done. They choose their moments really well, and they make the fights very entertaining. He's very creative. I like that. The way he fights is also creative. As far as the suit goes and the way it looks, I really love the progression of making the suit in this movie. It's something that adds a depth here that helps convince you that this person and what is going on is real and really just draws you into the movie. I mean, he spends like an hour of this movie making the suit, and you see him making it, you see him working on it, you see him testing out different versions, different things he's doing. It's awesome. It's just super convincing. I'm glad they took the time to do that rather than just him making it in the background and all of a sudden now he's Iron Man. No, you watched him become Iron Man throughout the entire movie. I think it's something that is kind of lost when they introduced the whole nanotechnology into Marvel. But when he goes to get into the suit, I love all the little details that they have. When they go to put the boots on and you see the little robot zoom in and screw in a screw and tighten a bolt and do all this stuff, and you see all these little moving parts to come together. Every little panel moves and does and flexes and all this stuff. It makes it feel very, very real, very convincing. And you also watched him work on it for an hour of this movie. So you know that there's just a lot that goes into it and it just feels very convincing. I love that about this. Now, as far as emotion goes, the character, the guy that is in the cave that he is stuck with, that character made me feel more emotion than a ton of characters throughout the entire MCU that have had significantly more screen time. This guy was barely a part of this movie, and I felt for him. I felt emotion for him and his situation way more than a ton of characters. The emotion done in this movie is done well and effective. It's efficient. You really care about characters. Iron Man, you care about him as a person. You like to see his character change. I don't know that you ever feel he's ever in danger enough to feel any fear or anything, but you love his character. You see him as somebody that you could sit there and watch for hours on end. His relationship with Pepper is super convincing. I loved it. I mean, I'm a guy that's a sucker for romance, and the whole movie I was just waiting for them to kiss. This whole entire movie, I'm like, dude, come on, just get it done already. They were almost teasing you with how slowly they developed the relationship, but because they developed it slowly, it felt very authentic. It felt very real. I thought there were a ton of small choices in this movie cinematically that were excellent choices, and they all add together to really elevate this movie over a lot of other movies. 7th is editing, and this is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is 2 hours and 6 minutes long, and it's a really good length. I don't think you necessarily notice too much how long it is. I did. I thought the end of this movie, I was ready for it to start ending. I think part of that is just because I didn't love the villain all that much, and he becomes a lot more prevalent as the movie comes to an end, but you need a lot of time. You need the time to introduce the characters. He has a whole character arc he has to go through, experiences he has to go through, and it's entertaining enough to pull you through that ride. I think it's an easy 2 hour and 6 minute movie to watch. 8th is soundtrack. Now, I don't think the soundtrack of this movie, I don't know if it necessarily did anything emotionally for me, but it is a good soundtrack. It fits the character. It just fits a superhero movie in general. It just does enough in the action to help make it even more entertaining, but it's not elevating this movie in some way where I have to talk about it. 9th is directing. Now I feel the director is in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to put it all together, give it their stamp of approval, and make a really good movie. Now, the director of this movie is Jon Favreau, and this was his 4th movie. The 4 total movies that he had directed to this point were Made, Elf, Zathura, A Space Adventure, and finally, Iron Man. Honestly, I love this guy. I think he's a really good director. I had not seen Made, but Elf and Zathura are movies I really enjoy. They're movies I've watched multiple times and would suggest other people watch. I like that he has a good ear for comedy. He's good at making a movie funny, but also good at putting some serious tones into it. I think this one is the best out of those previous 3 at having some serious tones and a good character arc. But honestly, these are all really good movies. I think he's a very talented director and was a great choice at starting the MCU. I think he's probably the reason it got as popular as it did with this kind of movie. 10th is time. Will it stand the test of time? Absolutely, it stands the test of time. It would have stood some sense of time in this because it was the first movie in the MCU, but it doesn't need that to stand the test of time. It is a really good movie. It has lasted this long as a really good movie. If you have not watched it, you absolutely need to. That this is the reason that Marvel is gets a lot of hate nowadays, is because they started off setting the bar really high and have only pulled that bar lower as they've gone on. But right here in the beginning, this is a fantastic movie. I think it will always be a really good movie. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it a 94. The audience gives it a 91. And IMDb gives it a 79. I don't know where you're getting 79 from. I think there are a lot of things in this movie that are well done objectively. I think it's a really well put together movie at the very least. You can pick some things apart, but honestly, there's not that much to complain about at all. You have to start really digging to find things you don't like. I think objectively, even if you don't like superhero movies, this is at least in the 80s. Personally, I think the 91 to 94 is a great spot for this movie. It's lacking some things emotionally. The villain isn't all that great. There's things to pick at, but it is definitely an A movie. It is a really good movie. It is made to entertain and has some good emotional aspects in there. I think it has stood the test of time on entertainment. It was extremely well liked for a reason. I think it absolutely belongs in that low A. Lastly, for the rankings. For the year of 2008, I only have 2 movies, and on the entertainment side, it is going to be first, above Step Brothers. Now, I really like Step Brothers. I think it's a movie that I quote a lot. I think it's very funny and entertaining, but there is a part of this movie that bogs down whenever the parents get divorced. It is a part of the movie that, even though it's towards the end, it really bogs down. It doesn't have any cinematic aspects that I really enjoy about it at all. It's just purely an entertainment movie that's pretty funny. Iron Man, it's just as entertaining, arguably, to me as Step Brothers, but it has those cinematic aspects that I really like as well. I just think it's a really well-rounded movie that I can easily watch, where Step Brothers is not as well-rounded. It's just a great entertainment movie. I think Iron Man just does a little bit better at both, and I really enjoy a cinematic movie as well. Now, cinematically, out of 2 movies, it is going to be first, above Step Brothers. Not even really a competition. I think Iron Man is much more unique than Step Brothers. Step Brothers wasn't really trying to go for anything cinematically. Iron Man definitely was, and it did a lot of things really well. Now, for the decade of the 2000s, I have 6 total movies, and on the entertainment side, it is going to be second, below Redline and above Step Brothers. It's above Step Brothers for the same reasons, but I do have it below Redline. Redline is one of those movies. What I really like about it is it feels super unique. I love the world that it's in. It's very entertaining outside of just the character. It's also the world. Both things are interesting in that movie, but what I really like about it is how much it just elevates. Every 20 minutes of this movie, something crazier happens, and the plot gets even thicker and deeper and more interesting, and it does that throughout the entire movie. It is an extremely entertaining movie that I really liked. Iron Man is also entertaining, but I just don't think I'm going to go back to watching it as much as Redline. Redline is a movie that I would be like, you've never seen this? You have got to watch this. Let me show this to you. I feel like Iron Man is a movie that I'm like, oh, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it on your own. Redline, it's like, I want to be there and watch it with you and watch your reaction when you watch how crazy this movie gets. Now, cinematically, out of 6 total movies, it is going to be fourth, just below The Mist and above The Whole 9 Yards. Now, I do have it above The Whole 9 Yards. The Whole 9 Yards is kind of like Step Brothers, except it does have a little bit more going for it cinematically. The plot, some of the actual plot twist in it, some of the interesting, mysterious aspects of the movie are good, but honestly, cinematically, Iron Man does a much better job. It's much more appealing to look at. There's a lot of little cinematic aspects that are purposely done that are very interesting, where The Whole 9 Yards is much more of an entertainment movie with some cinematic aspects. I just think Iron Man has more, and they're just better done. Now, I do have it below The Mist, and this is really because of that emotional aspect. The Mist has some, it doesn't look that great. The CGI is not that great, kind of a product of the time, being in the 2000s. But the emotional side, I mean, you hate characters in this film, and you just, the character development is deeper. I just feel like as an art form, the actual emotional side is just more important than what Iron Man goes into, and The Mist just dives into it more. Now, all time, out of 57 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be third. Again, below Redline and above Step Brothers. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. It's a really good entertainment movie. It was made to entertain with some cinematic aspects in there. And it does that. It does that really well. It's extremely entertaining, and then the cinematic aspects help that entertainment as well. The way that they're sprinkled in there, I have no problems putting it this high on my list. Now, cinematically, out of 57 total movies, it is going to be 17th, just below Nosferatu and above The Martian. Now, I do have it above The Martian because I do think that there was some emotion in Iron Man. There wasn't a whole lot, but there was some that I enjoyed. I was much more into the characters, and I cared more about the characters than I do in The Martian. The Martian is one of those movies where I feel like it rides the line really well between cinematography and entertainment, and it doesn't do either great, but it does both well. I think Iron Man does entertainment great, and I think it also does cinematography better than The Martian. I think it is extremely creative. The world is much more interesting than what's going on in The Martian. I also like the way that they made the characters in that movie, preferably over The Martian. Now, I have it below Nosferatu, and this for me was a real tone issue. Nosferatu had nothing emotionally, and I had a lot to complain about in that movie, but cinematically, I feel like it was going for a lot, and it was a very serious movie. It was a movie that was made for cinematography, and it does some cinematic things really, really well. It's got a good tone to it, and that's what it was going for. There was just something that I couldn't put Iron Man over Nosferatu because of the tone, for how serious it was. Iron Man is still an entertainment movie with some good cinematic aspects. Nosferatu is a cinematic movie that does cinema well, not amazing, and I couldn't put Iron Man over Nosferatu. I think as an art form, Nosferatu is very creative in the way it's trying to get you to feel certain emotions or portray the world that it's in. I think you could make an argument that Iron Man is better in some ways, but I just couldn't get over that feeling of tone, so I just couldn't put it above it. Okay, that's all I've got for Iron Man. I'm glad I watched it after watching Captain America, because it helped restore my faith in why I don't like Marvel movies right now, because this is a great movie. This is why it was so successful. It's a really entertaining movie. It does so many things so well. Let me know. Please comment how you feel about it. Do you think this is the best Marvel movie that has been made for MCU, or do you think it was the best one before, pre-Avengers? I definitely think so. It was a great way to start it off. I really love when you guys comment. It's the reason I started this channel. I wanted to hear what you guys have to think, so please let me know what you think. If you're interested in someone who does the exact same format as me but just has a different opinion, then go check out my best friend Bosso Movie Reviews. He does the exact same thing, where he ranks movies against other movies in the same year, decade, and all time, but he does it in one concise list, which I think some of you might prefer over my two lists, and he has a very different opinion than me. He does a lot more past movies as well, but make sure to comment what movie you want me to review next, and subscribe so that you can watch me review that movie. But otherwise, I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.